High snap. Williams pressured out. He's flushed to the near right. He's going to run. Williams to the 20. Open space 15. Still below the near numbers. 10. Stays on his feet. 5. Reaches with his right hand. And he's in. He's into that maroon end zone.
Inside Saluki Athletics, the official coaches show of Saluki Athletics.
Lobs in the end zone. Man is there. Out of bounds. No penalty flags. And the comeback is complete. Southern Illinois with its largest comeback in program history. They trailed by 28, and they win it 37-33.
Now, here is the voice of the Salukis, Luke Martin.
Welcome, everybody, into the Steve Wells studio here on the campus of Southern Illinois University. So great to be joined by the head coach of Saluki Football, Nick Hill. I am Luke Martin, the voice of the Salukis. Not too bad of a setup, Coach Hill. We were able to get you on our first ever podcast that we had here at SIU. Now we got to break in the new studio with you as we get ready for the year.
It's an honor, man. This feels official.
It does.
Like good podcast setup, and this will be a cool space for everybody. But yeah, looking back, being the first one in here, I hadn't even seen it yet, so I'm excited.
No, it's awesome, and obviously a huge thank you to Steve Wells, who is a diehard Saluki, huge supporter of Saluki Athletics. I'm excited that Steve will be here this weekend for the football game, so he's going to come in, be able to check out all these new digs, and it's going to be awesome to be able to utilize this throughout the year. And, of course, so much help throughout here on campus from Cap Martin in terms of the fundraising efforts, and, of course, Katie, Zip, and Matt for all of our facilities efforts to get this off and running. Here for game week, it takes a team, just like it takes a team to get out there on the field, Coach Hill. And, I mean, we've been around your group for a while here in fall camp. What's been the biggest joy now is you've kind of told everybody, hey, I'm tired about talking about the season. It's now the time to go play.
Yeah, I think when you get to this point in the year, it's time to go play somebody. Get on the same sideline and all the preparation and practice against each other. It's time to go play. And so, like we always preach to our team, the scores and the results will take care of itself if you are just focused on the process of what allows you to come out on top. And so that's been our focus. I mean, week one playing at home, opening up at home, and not any distractions. I mean, you want to open up at home, but we got to remain focused on what our job is, and excited to play in front of our home fans because we're gone for like a month before we come back. And so yeah, I mean, game week, like I was saying on my press conference, is I think I've learned, in those 10 years of just, not wishing days away. The game will come when it comes, enjoying each day of the process to get to the game. Even with your family, you get caught in that just hoping game day, but enjoying every single day, enjoying tonight. I'm going to take the captains out to dinner tonight with my wife, and just the small things of the season that sometimes you get caught up and you lose track of, and so the game will get here when it gets here. I'm excited that it's Tuesday, beautiful weather. We had a good practice, and but we'll be ready to roll when it gets Saturday.
Well, let's talk about just those captains. You mentioned you'll take the captains out. I think all of them have tremendous stories. DJ Williams, talk about Mr. Boehm coming into the program. Of course, Bohannock, who's been a huge stay for you, and Derek Hart. I think all of them have personal stories that make it really special. But that's ultimately something that, hey, you're voted on by your teammates when you're in it. What about those four guys do you believe led them to be such high, popular guys within the team in terms of leaders?
Yeah, and I think, we have a leadership council that's made up of a bigger group of guys, I think 18, 20. And so like I talk about, that's why we do it, later, a week before the game, is that, every person on our team and within our organization is going to, be called on to lead and to be led. And same thing that goes with these captains. There's going to be times that they're going to have to be led. There was a lot of guys that got a lot of votes. And that's what you want to see, honestly, when you get the ballots and see who got votes, is like there's a lot of guys that are in those four guys specifically. I agree. And I think that's what the cool thing about sports, but for our game, as many guys as we have, is a lot of guys have cool stories. Yeah. And I think that when you can look as a younger guy, when you want to build a culture of a program, it's like, how do those guys become captains? And then you find out about, really all of them have been out a season because of injury, and then they're still here. And so a younger guy seeing what that leader is. I went through all of those guys, like, raise your hand just talking about scout team. Derek Carden, scout team player of the year as a freshman, redshirted, didn't play in any games. Talking to those freshman linemen, like, now he's a captain, he's a 3-year starter. Like, there's a process to become and be voted on. But when you commit to doing those things day in and day out, the best thing about the player vote is that, those guys are around each other off the field, in the locker room. The locker room's got to be a sacred place. And, so they see it. It's not just a popularity award. It's like, who do we respect the most to represent our team when we go out, and who are our captains? You want guys that really exemplify what the standards of the program are.
You have been asked countless times throughout fall camp and process of getting ready for the season about DJ Williams, and what you always go to is, yes, no doubt, the skill level, everything is there. But you always really point to it's who he is within your meeting rooms, your meeting spaces, your locker rooms. Can you, for our fans, just give a personal story of what that kind of really embodies who DJ is, who you see each and every day, who I get to interact with in the hallways, that really kind of exemplifies and is a great example of this is who DJ Williams is each and every day in our halls?
Yeah, I think you just see his kind spirit. I think, he carries himself with a confidence, but he's easy to be around. He handles himself well in really all situations that he's in, off the field, amongst, he's just one that you're proud to take amongst donors or your family or anybody. But yeah, I think just, truly getting to know him as a person, the way he cares for people, obviously talking about, his camp, and just wanting to give back, wanting to help out. I think obviously the work ethic, and then just seeing, my girls love him, you know what I mean? Like, just the family, the kids on the staff, gravitate towards him because he cares about them. And so, yeah, easy guy to root for. I'm excited to get out there and play. I know how it was, too, as, not anywhere near of an athlete that DJ is, but playing quarterback throughout a training camp where you're not live, you got to have a yellow jersey on, it gets tough. They're ready to go play a real game, to see if you can go make a play on this play. I mean, a lot of our game, I would say the majority of our game is played off schedule, or the whistle's not blown when somebody gets close to you. You've got to react, you got to go play, and that's where DJ is really special, is natural feel of the game, and getting outside the pocket, or just maneuvering inside the pocket. It's time to go play. Obviously he runs the ball really well and effectively, so being able to do some of those things. And so yeah, I'm excited for DJ.
How hard, and maybe hard is not the right word for me to use, but we watch your practices a lot. A lot of what makes DJ special as a player is what you said. It's really unscripted. So as you go throughout practices, there's probably a situation where you're like, we could see him work out of that in a game. I mean, it's really hard to – Nick Baker was that way. There were so many things that Nick could do without a game. Like, that's just kind of a great characteristic of a quarterback, and those are things like you can somewhat practice, but not really practice on a daily basis.
Right, and yeah, Nick was a lot like that as far as, like, Nick would get frustrated. Like, there's no way that I'm not making this play. And you think back on – probably if we had to put, Nick, or even last year, DJ's plays, we had a screen called to the left against Carter Ward. It went for a touchdown on a run to the right. Like that play would never happen in practice. It'd be blown dead. He'd throw the ball at the ground, and we'd be on to the next set, And same thing with Nick. If I think back on probably the biggest plays on Nick's career, specifically a couple at South Dakota State, they brought more than we could block. An A-gap pressure, linebacker free. He makes him miss. He scrambles for a big fourth down conversion. In practice, that's being blown dead. The defense wins the set, and so yeah, I think there's also a great attention to detail of being able to teach them and operate within the system of. You're not always going to be able to do that, and you can't just. You want to teach them to get through their progressions, play within the system, play within the pocket, and then it's when the lights are on, you get to go play.
Look, you're a guy that is filled with a lot of energy, and you carry yourself that way. Not that you're always over the top with your guys, but you can tell when you see Coach Hill, when you are out of practice, you're locked in, you're ready to go, and your guys know how committed you are. But now as you are the OC, I don't want to say you got an extra hop in your step a little bit, but I can tell there's whatever you want to describe, competitive drive, et cetera, those juices, your background, there's something a little extra, I feel like, too. What do you enjoy so much about the OC role and really getting the opportunity to be hands-on, obviously with your quarterbacks and specifically with the offensive unit?
Yeah, I think, just speaking, personally, it's not that it gets boring is not the right word, but when you go through practice, and I never wanted to be a head coach that's stepping on people's toes. Like when you work with someone, if I was an assistant and there was a defensive head coach and I'm the OC and he's always in our meetings and he's always down at our end of the practice and he's always, that's what I appreciated about Dale Lennon so much. He let me just go, do it. And, leading up to the week and meetings, having a specific plan or anything that he wanted to see or how the flow of the game, he saw it going. Then he just trusted you on game day to go do it. And so I wanted to be the same way, but then you find yourself just watching a lot. You're just watching and you have an itch to go and coach. And I think if you would talk to anyone maybe that changes jobs or anything like that, it's like, I want to get back to coaching. I want a position group. And so, when you realize you're the head coach and you make those decisions, then it's time to, don't have any of those regrets. And so I really enjoy it. I enjoy that, the feeling on game day. You're not going to make every right call. I'll be the first to admit that and admit it to the team. That's what I said. There's going to have to be some plays that the defense gets you. That happens. You turn on the game in the NFL or wherever, the best play callers, it's a grind sometimes. And so just that, that competitiveness in you. And so doing it for 10 years and having different ways of doing it, I did say that if I went back, then I wanted to be in the position room again. So I think I've learned over the time of what the best setup is. Because if you're going to call plays, you need to be everyday practice, scripts, understanding everything, what you're saying, and not right or wrong, but just the feel and them hearing your voice every day, I think is important.
I don't want to say this is, look, you're stoked, you're eager. I think everyone's ready to get to Saturday and really just showcase what all of you have been working on. Coach Braun has been a defensive coordinator before. It's not a new role that he's in. He's used to being in it. But what are you like, man? I'm ready for you, Coach Braun, to really showcase what your unit, what your group has really been working towards since the spring.
Yeah, Coach Braun does a great job. He's a young coach, but with tons of experience. I don't really look at age in coaching. You could be 40 and never called plays before, and you've got all kinds of experience, but you've never done it. Coach Braun's been an interim head coach. He's called the defense for a couple of different years. He's been a part of, an unbelievable coming from North Dakota State and some of his mentors of seeing it done from a defensive head coach perspective. So really the week to week and the details in which they go about practice. Coach Braun's got a super bright future. I'm glad that he's here. And so I'm just excited. The goals defensively aren't going to change really week to week. It's a standard in which you play football. When you think about great defenses, there's just a standard. You wouldn't say, and maybe some unbelievable fans of those specific teams of great defenses, but you're not thinking back of the 85 Bears, and I know they had a unique defense, but they would just be thinking of the players, how they played, how physical they played. Like highlight films of running the ball. The Bears, when they went to the Super Bowl most recently, like Peanut Tillman forcing turnovers, relentless getting the ball. And so I've said this over and over again. I think if there's a perfect defense, everybody would run it. So it's about adapting to your personnel, understanding who's on the field, what their strengths are, what the strengths of that opponent is, and trying to take away. You're not going to take away everything, but that's what game planning has to do. Like, hey, this is their bread and butter. We need to be good at taking that away. It could be a long day, and so I think Annie has a good staff, and trusting those guys. Obviously, I see how hard they work, so I'm excited for them to just go cut it loose.
Look, we'll end it on Thomas More, but before we get to the game on Saturday, it's a question I haven't had a chance to talk with you in terms of official capacity on it. Your team this weekend will be wearing some special decals on the back of your helmet, and it will say SL, and it'll be for Sharon Lipe. I didn't get the opportunity to know Sharon as close as obviously you have, and so many that have been within Saluki football. And even though I didn't know Sharon that well, being at her celebration of life, it was true a celebration of life that day. There were so many great talks from, I know, former Salukis. Obviously, you know very well, Joel Samberski, of course, being a former player. Mike Reese did an outstanding job just, really bringing the emotion for that event and what it meant for Sharon and what she meant to Saluki football. It's a loaded question. I know what I'm asking you when it comes to Sharon, but I know it's probably a very easy thing that you and the program can do to honor her, but really what she has meant to Saluki football, the importance it is. And I talked to so many of your guys, not to keep rambling, but even like Shug Walker, who never even had a chance. He's like, man, like hearing Coach Hill talk about her, that's all we had to do to know how important she was to the program, what it means for you and your team to be able to represent her, to have those stickers on your helmet, and to know I'm sure she'll be on your minds a lot throughout this year, as I'm sure she has since she's passed.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, you could talk for days about her. Like the celebration of life was so great. I mean, there could have been 50 speeches, and those guys did an unbelievable job from really all different eras. Joel knows that era, the first year of Coach Kill and everything. That's what I mean. And I try to, and I think, number one, we talked about her a couple times in team meeting settings, but we went over and helped her move this summer. There was about 10 guys and a group of coaches that went over, and Raj was, they were going to move to Southeast Missouri and being around their grandkids and their son, and I'm like, well, we'll have that house knocked out quickly. Just let us know when the moving truck's there, and we've got it. And then, that was my really last time sitting down and talking to her. But I got there early, just sharing in the living room, and we're talking, and I'll remember that forever. And so sharing with the team on why we're going to go over there, who she is, how much it means to her, and who Roger. Obviously, they a lot of guys know Roger, but then throughout the passing and then the celebration of life, of just letting them know in the respect of, and I talked about this in our first team meeting of the year, of like, who's came before you that has laid the path to allow you to have the opportunity that you have. I think it's super important. No matter if you're here for 1 year or 4 years, 6 years, it doesn't matter. Like, playing for the brand of Southern Illinois football, who's came before you, and there'll be another person in your seat one day. There'll be another person standing at the podium doing this interview as the head coach one day. And our job is to leave a legacy and care about those people that don't even know they're going to be Salukis. And Sharon Lipe, had left a legacy on the people. And so I think that's what I want our team that didn't have the chance, but just putting the emblem on there, it'll be cool for me. I think there'll be times in the game that maybe somebody's standing in front of me throughout the game. You see that. You kind of feel her presence, knowing that she's up there looking down, and the presence she had. But she's a Saluki Hall of Famer in my eyes. Like, when you think about who should be in the Hall of Fame, for sure for Saluki football, it's someone that left a legacy, that made the program better, that says, like, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this person. And Sharon did that. I think when you talk about the coaching staffs that come through here, the players, like, she was equally the most valuable person throughout that entire time. So we're going to miss her for sure, but we definitely want to carry on her legacy.
Let's talk about Thomas More. Saturday night, great opportunity for your team to start off the year. And, you know, Coach Norwell, his program, they've made the transition to Division II. They've been a Division III program for a while, but they've had success when they were Division III. And as you talked to your team earlier today, you got to treat everybody with that same level of competitive respect as you start off the season. And it's a brand new season, 0-0, and both teams are going to be going through the same exact thing, ready for the year to start come Saturday.
Yeah, I honestly, and that's just not coach talk for me. I mean, like, you know, like I told our seniors, the guys that with the last year of eligibility, you know, to say, like, this could be my last team I'm ever on. You know, you don't take anything for granted. If you get a game that there's fans and the lights are on and there's a scoreboard, then the ultimate respect for the other opponent, that's why I've never got into that, is like, those guys are over there, training camp, the hard work, the love of the game, all of those things, the preparation, the coaching staff, they're doing the same things we're doing. And so there's a respect for anybody that you line up against. And so our team will come out and play like that on Saturday. And so, but you don't take any game that you get an opportunity to go play, because these days are numbered for all of us on how many times you get to go out there and do that. So for me, it's about how we play, the physicality in which we play with, the execution that we have on all phases. And so I'm excited for game day for that.
And you look in the history, there's only been one loss to a non-D1 program in Saluki football history. It was 1987 against Delta State. That year, the Salukis were preseason ranked number 15 and lost in their first game to a non-D1. So it just kind of reinforces to what you're saying. Guys, be locked in. It's not coach speak. It's none of that. It's, hey, they're doing the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah, and we haven't played a lower level opponent since I've been the head coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I haven't seen any of that this week. I mean, as far as our guys are ready to play. I mean, it's been a long off season. You know, training camp's long. We get excited for scrimmages, you know, and so we'll be excited to play, and the score will take care of itself. But the respect and the preparation has not changed one bit, on no matter if we're playing BYU last year in week 1 or we're playing Thomas More. It's about the respect of what it takes to be a good football team.
In 1987 at Delta State, Scott Nagy was a junior at the time. How about
Really?
that? Yes.
You think he remembered that game?
You know, I have not brought that up to Coach yet, so I didn't get a chance to see him this morning as we were talking about. But he would have been a junior.
I feel like he might have brought that up already. Maybe.
I would have think he would have brought it up.
Thinks back. That was a long time ago, though. I was 2. But remind him that I was 2.
I don't even think I was a thought in 1987, Coach Hill. Man, your team, it's been so much fun to be around you guys, as it always is. Even last year, I know it wasn't the success that all of you wanted, but man, I know all those guys are ready, primed, and excited for Saturday night. Thanks so much for stopping on by, and look forward to having you on here throughout the season, Coach.
Yeah, good setup. Feel official in here.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah, I did a great job. I'm excited.
No, absolutely. That was head coach Nick Hill. We're going to take a break here on the show. As we take a break and we come back with Saluki tight end Aidan Quinn, get a little preview of what it's like in a day in the life of DJ Williams from the show, The Impact Report from the SIU Foundation.
Saluki quarterback, and Meade Smith, our strength and conditioning coach. And DJ, how do you approach the weight room?
I just approach it every day with the same mindset of getting better. It's something that you need to do. We're trying to get 1% better every day.
Show me what you might do to kind of get yourself going.
Getting into the workout, we usually start with something explosive. Today we're going to be doing like what we call a YT race. Okay, this is going to work shoulder mobility, but also scapular strength, and we'll get some face pulls. He's going to pull this like he's pulling the band into his eyebrows and get a little external rotation from the shoulders. Okay,
That is really
all
hard.
the way down. Good. Pull your elbows down into your ribs.
Down all the way in.
There you go.
Yeah, you want to feel these back here.
Woo!
Good.
That feels
Move back a little bit.
That feels dangerous.
Yeah.
And just
Straight down
trying to go
a little bit,
fast.
yeah.
Yep. Try to
Trying
keep that
to
elbow.
fast
Keep
that
that
arm
elbow
strong.
behind. There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
Woof.
There you go.
All right.
Good. You're natural.
We head from the weight room to the film room, where Coach Nick Hill is ready to talk football with me and his star quarterback.
DJ's pretty special. Obviously, his talent speaks for itself, but just being able to work with him, and just his personality and his work ethic. The first way to teach is you got to put it on the board. They're going to be in the position meeting room, so you're going to be able to draw up the plays on paper. That's the start. One of our staple pass plays, we call it Rattler, so that's the play. When you first put in a play, we're going to say the personnel. It's DJ's job to come to the line of scrimmage, and the first thing he's going to tell the offensive line is what protection we're going to run on that play.
How much studying does it take to be the quarterback of a team with an offensive set like this?
It takes a lot of studying when you first get into it, but then plays like this come second nature.
As a coach, you want to call plays that have answers no matter what the defense does.
Are there moments in the game where the coach is called to play, snap comes, nobody's open? When do you make that decision? You're like, I got to go.
It's usually every quarterback has like this time taken in their head. Like you know when it's time to get out of there.
But this all happens in about 3 seconds, right? This is happening fast, and it's happening even faster game speed.
Everything has to feel like a game. Like day in and day out, practice should be harder than a game.
After meeting with Coach Hill, DJ takes me to the fueling station where student athletes get the nutrition they require and introduces me to Alexandro Flores.
So we have a lot of variety from everything we do. We don't just offer just quick snacks. We customize everything to their preference, so we can make shakes from like lean, maintain, and gain. And for DJ's, needs right now, maintain to make sure that he stays lean and mean.
How important is nutrition to a high-level athlete?
It's very important because what you eat and what you put in your body determines how your day gonna go.
We make a quick stop in the locker room to grab a ball, and then I get to live out every young SIU fan's dream with a game of catch down on the field in Saluki Stadium. What's your favorite thing about being a Saluki?
Just the fans that come out and support every game. Being just a blessing to the community. They are a blessing to me. They gave me a new home when I needed one. It's just good to be around these fans and just put on a show for them.
We're going to run a play here in a minute. We're going to run the Rattler that we learned about from Coach Hill.
Welcome, everybody, back to Inside Saluki Athletics here inside the Steve Wells studio. Big thanks to Coach Hill, as well as Ben McLaughlin, who's helping us out behind the scenes today. We appreciate Ben helping us out here on Inside Saluki Athletics. All right, now everyone's excited because A.J. Quinn joins us. Aidan Quinn, tight end for the Salukis, who's back and geared up and ready for yet another season. We've been peppering A.J. with questions all fall camp long. Man, what's the feeling like now where it's finally game week? I mean, you guys have been going up against each other each and every day for so long. Now you finally get to see someone else, A.J.
Oh, it's a great feeling. I'm pumped. After you practice against your own team since spring, all summer, all fall camp, you get tired of hitting the same guys every day. Yeah, I know how a lot of our guys play. It's always fun to mix it up and hit someone that isn't my friend. So.
And they get tired of seeing you too, as well on the defensive
mutual.
side.
It's definitely mutual.
I hear that a lot, throughout practice. As you get ready here for week one, what's been the preparation like as a team in terms of the standard that you guys have? How do you feel you guys are going about your preparation day to day? I know it's nowhere near probably where you ultimately want it to be, but how do you guys feel as a group as you enter week one?
We're feeling real good. We switched up our practice schedule a little bit, and then our scouts have been giving us great looks all week. So it's really been great to have that change. they're going to get us as far as we can get. Good looks every week is really going to help us. So the scout team giving us, can never shout those guys out enough because they're putting in just as much work, more work than a lot of us at times, and they don't get the recognition on Saturdays. But they are really, really out there grinding, helping us get better. And then for us, we're just been focusing on ourselves. Keep it simple, run our base stuff, and just make sure we have everything down fundamentally, and just really focus on ourselves going into this first week.
We were catching up, which we've done a lot of support staff interviews throughout fall camp and gearing up for the season. Of course, one, Mike Lisnicki, who I feel like on a daily basis with everything that your body has been through, Aidan. When you think of the whole path that you've had, right, to get back to being as healthy as you can be, how has this fall camp felt in terms of you just being able to just go out there and just practice and not necessarily worry about where you're at from a health status?
It's been great. It's really, when you first come back, even when I told myself I was healthy, feeling good, I'd watch the tape and see last fall, I'm not really playing at the standard I was, and I'm still favoring my shoulder even if I'm not doing it consciously. It's like a subconscious thing I'm doing. But this fall camp's been great. I feel back to normal, back to healthy, and I'm really just not taking it for granted anymore because I almost lost it once, and just having as much fun with it as I can.
Does it, not that, it gets taken away, not that you needed it to get taken away to realize how special it is to be able to play the game, but how much more now, this year, do you feel as you're going through things man, I have a much greater appreciation for even just earlier today, just being able to go through a Tuesday morning practice.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Thankfully, my old man always told me football is a privilege and not a right. So that's something I've always kept with me. But then I finally got to see it firsthand. It is a privilege. You get hurt, you get surgery, and in the matter of one play, I missed the whole season. And now here I am, a whole year later, recovered, and really just soaking it all in. That even this year, obviously, God forbid, it could all be taken away again.
Yeah.
And you just never know. So play every play and every day like it's your last, and just soak it all in, have as much fun as you can every step of the way.
Have you ever been a part of a team where there are so many of you guys within that core that know that feeling? I mean, and I mean, that's just one, it felt like that's what it was like last year for everybody around the program. But now, when you go out to practice, I don't think it's unfair or uncharacteristic or wrong to characterize it. You see a team of guys that are man, they're not taken for granted, because I think the majority of this team knows what it's like to have that taken away.
Yeah, a lot of these guys you can really see in the practice with energy. Everyone's just having fun with it. I know a big group of these guys, like you said, did end up missing the majority or the entire season last year. So you go out every day, high energy, just having fun with it. And if you can play football relaxed and having fun, then you're going to play your best game.
What makes you feel now as you get ready for Thomas More on Saturday night? Where do you feel as, hey, I'm at my best? I feel like this can be really a great year for you, AJ.
I think I'm blocking better than I ever have. I feel like I'm getting a lot of movement, especially between me and Schwindy. We've been playing together for a long time. We know how each other operate, how we think. So we've really been almost just like a really good duo out there on the edge. So yeah, I would say my blocking is probably the best it's been.
You guys are pretty mild guys when you're around each other, not necessarily the most boisterous, loud, etc. But when I talk to other coaches or whomever, and I'm like, man, who's really stood out? Who's had an impressive camp? Who's been impressive in practice? The names of you guys get brought up so quickly. Outside of just yourself, like Schwindy, what's making him have a really good fall camp right now? I know a lot of it is just, man, he's just a really talented guy. But when you see him behind the scenes, et cetera, describe everyone talks about work, right? Yeah. Man, I put in the work. Describe that work that both of you guys specifically have put in.
Yeah, well, the first thing with Schwindy comes to mind, and everyone can see this, is he's just a very explosive player. But behind the scenes, in the meeting rooms and stuff, what everyone doesn't see is, he's a good note taker, and then also he's helping coach up all the young guys in the room. Me and him both, Coach Griff will coach him up, and then if we have something that we see or feel from the experience of playing the games, he'll add it in there, and that's something that you don't see from the fan perspective, is that his knowledge of the game and our offense. He's got such a good grasp on it. Not only is he able to do it now he's bringing people along and he's teaching. And when you can get to that point, then you've really started to have like a great understanding of what you're doing.
We're going to have Coach Griff coming up on the show, and always love catching up with him. And it's a common question I always ask guys like yourself of, man, what it means to be in a room coached by a guy like that. For our fans who haven't had the opportunity to get to know Coach Griff and be with him each and every day, what's a characteristic of him that, man, you really cherish and really enjoy of having him as your position coach?
He's consistent. Every day he's going to be Coach Griff. You're not going to, even if he's having a bad day, he doesn't show that. He comes in, he's the same guy every day. He's high energy, great attitude, excited to coach, excited to be here. And that's something that I think a lot of people can easily overlook, take for granted. But that consistency can really go a long way, because even on days where I'm frustrated, feel like I haven't had a great practice, he's just going to be there and level me back out.
Have you been able to teach Tommy anything? Tommy's been having some really good success out there on the field, and we'll get to that with Dad here later on. But has AJ Quinn taught Tommy anything at all? Like a stiff arm or anything yet?
No, that's all Coach Griff, Miss Amy. They got that. I go to the Tommy's games and I'm just a fan. I just get loud and rowdy and get told I got to sit down.
I mean, when he tells me 95-yard touchdowns, touchdowns on 4th and 20, I'm like, man, sign them up already for the Dogs.
I mean, their whole offense is just get the ball to Tommy. It sounds like 4th and 20, just hey, Tommy.
Just give it to Tommy. When in doubt, give it to Tommy. Just like when in doubt, give it to AJ Quinn. I think that's what I'll be for the Dogs this year.
Tommy's probably more explosive.
I don't know about that. You got some pretty good explosiveness. Look, I know you have a busy day, and we'll get you on your way, AJ. But offensively, we've talked so much, and potential is just a word. And you guys ultimately want to show it. You want to prove it. We saw last year, especially the Incarnate Word game, of kind of what it could look like, and it just ultimately never got back to that point. But what are the biggest daily things that you guys preach as an offensive? We have to do these things daily to reach our full potential, because I think everyone agree if you reach your full potential as an offense, you guys are going to be fun to watch.
Daily, it's going to be pretty basic things. Your consistency, showing up every day, giving everything you have, and your communication. If we're all wrong together, then we're all right. So as long as everyone's on the same page, doesn't matter what we're running, we can still execute it. Even if it's a bad look versus the defense, we can manage it. Just communication, something we've emphasized, especially in the tight end room a lot, talking to our O-linemen and to our receivers, different run fits or pass concepts. Just communication is key.
This will be your first game day as a married man. So are there gonna be a new tradition you're gonna start on a game day for AJ Quinn now that you're married, or just hey, you're just sticking with the old routine, man? You're just gonna go with old reliable.
Nothing planned out, but I'm not opposed.
Not
to
ruling anything out.
Yeah. Talk to the wife. She wants.
Well, don't put it all on the wife.
Maybe get some George Kittle and his wife.
Yes.
Do some stuff.
There you go. I mean,
like
hey, I'm just trying to help you. To make sure it's a long lasting and create some new memories for you on game day.
Maybe we can get her a sideline pass.
Maybe. We'll see if we can pull some strings. We'll see if we can make that happen. Hey, before we let you go, again, Saturday night, for the fans to come out to Saluki Stadium to see you guys against Thomas More. This is a loaded question that I'm going to end it with you on, but your favorite part of game day is what? What about the experience of putting on that uniform, making the Saluki walk, to playing in Saluki Stadium? What is it about game day for you that you take in the most?
Probably right before we're about to round the tunnel. At that point, for me, I'm nervous all day long. Nerves are just building and building. You get to the tunnel, you run out, I go and pray. Then after that, right before kickoff, the nerves are at the all-time high, and that's like an adrenaline rush and a high. And it's just I'm addicted to it. that feeling right there, right before it's showtime. Stadium's loud, music's going, kickoff time. It's like a drug.
And you know what? You get that drug on Saturday. It's a good drug, because it's a great drug for all of us. AJ, thanks so much for stopping by. So excited for you this year, especially you working yourself back like no other to be ready. Are you glad that me and Trude now, when we see you in practice, we don't have to give you a hard time about, hey, get a real jersey on?
Yeah.
Are you glad you're through that phase now?
Yeah, every day you told me I look good to practice.
Yes, and then Mike would always give me the thumbs down. Like we got to get through that. But no, really happy for you, Aidan. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Aidan Quinn. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we're going to take a break from Saluki football. What a start to the year it's been for Saluki soccer. Coach Graeme Orr will join us when we come back here on Inside Saluki Athletics. Welcome back, everybody, to Inside Saluki Athletics. We're not going to mute this guy. He requested to be muted as we come on the show. It's the head coach for Saluki Soccer, Graeme Orr. It's been a great start to the year for Saluki Soccer. Unbeaten to this point, 3 matches already done officially on the season. And here to talk about all is none other than the coach, Graeme Orr. Coach, welcome in. I mean, you've been off to such a great start. We had to pick up the studio a little bit just for you. This is just for you. We hope you know that.
Well, I appreciate the hospitality.
No, we understand, and we appreciate the hospitality with you coming by as well. Look, it's early, right? There's a lot of soccer. There's a lot of matches to come for your team. But I could sense when we were catching up with you in the summer on our coaches' caravans, et cetera, you really liked your group. Like, you were optimistic about what was to come. Now that you've had some time and you've had 3 matches, yes, you won them all, but what are the biggest positives right now for your team outside of just winning them? What are you doing in the matches that you really like specifically?
I think when you get into the early games, you're looking like, well, how do we look with the ball? How do we look without the ball? And, I think when we went to play Purdue in an exhibition game, I think that was a real tough test early on. And I think for the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, the ladies, just felt we were there to turn up. And then I believe after Purdue scored, we had committed to ourselves, right, we can play our game here, on the soccer field, especially at this time of the season. The fields are big, there's a lot of heat. If you can go and possess the ball and you can be brave on it, you can cause teams some difficulties, and that's what we did. And maybe Purdue dropped their standards a little bit at that stage of the game with taking an early lead, but we grew in confidence and we ended up equalising, having chances to go up in that game, and we came off at the half-time mark knowing, right, we can believe we can play with them. And I think that was a really good confidence builder for the group at that point of, like, yeah, we're young, there's a lot of new players, but look what we can do if we go and play our game.
Where would you say, and I'm sure there's many reasons you can point to, probably so much where we could talk all day, but when you say, hey, when I look at your program, right, and shaping it within your image and the standards that you want Saluki Soccer to look like, where has this program grown the most from day one, year one, to now, in your eyes?
Yeah, and I think it would be unfair of me to say, like, it's just my program, right?
Yeah.
I'm in a privileged position to be able to lead it, but my staff's been here from day one with us, so Coach Phillips, Coach Candell, and now Lucy, who's my graduate assistant. She was a player for me at my last school and played here last year, so the staff's been here a long time. There's been players that have stayed with us from day one, and we've added players all the time. And I think if you look at our spring season, we were able to go undefeated in the spring. We were able to then go and, test ourselves against different opposition, some away from home, playing multiple games in the one day, and then some at home and some playing some conference opponents. And again, just getting over the line and having an undefeated spring season, I think, builds that confidence, but also feeds that, I would say, hunger and appetite to want to do the summer workouts and come back in the best shape possible, sacrifice, maybe that extra holiday to come in early and get yourself mentally and physically ready for what's going to have to be a really robust season if we want to achieve anything.
Look, a lot of it is exactly what you're talking about, right? The physical shape, taking care of yourself, giving credit to your athletes and what they're doing. But offensively, with your group this year, it just seems, man, really quick. A lot more speed. Was that kind of a focus, an area that you thought your team could be really good at this year in terms of being a group offensively that can maybe push the tempo of a game up a little bit more than what you've been able to do in the past?
Yeah, well, I think the recruiting part of any program is really paramount to the success, right? And I think it's changed in dynamics just over the last year, with the 28-man roster. So when we came in here, notoriously women's soccer players, they recruit very early. A lot of times maybe after their sophomore year of high school, they're looking to commit to a program. So when we came in, we had to make sure that first and foremost we gave everybody an opportunity. We looked at what we had, and then we set kind of player avatars of what we're looking for in certain positions. And then you've got to go and try and recruit what you feel is the best player you can get. But it's very competitive, right? And I was really happy with some of the experience we were able to bring in January, and I think they've really added to our program. And then this is, the way I see it, is year 3, but it's really our staff's second recruiting class. And I think when you look at, what the sophomores are doing now and what some of the freshmen are contributing right away, I do think there's a lot more guile and a lot more finesse in the attacking areas and things like that. But we've certainly got a lot to work on, and I think as the games come thick and fast, this will be a challenging period for us with a lot of away games of learning how to cope with those demands.
It's got to be hard with having Larry Warner's daughter on the team, right? I mean, Coach Warner, I see him, he's making signs, he's out there everywhere. Like, do you just want to be like, hey, Larry, go back to Saluki Stadium. Like take a few steps back.
No, it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the main reasons when Penny was so enthusiastic to want to play for the program, and I think again it's teaching some of the younger players that have come in like what the history is. We're a program that's still quite in infancy, so we don't have that much history to go back and say, well, look, 30, 20 years ago, the team's done this. But when you've got someone like Penny's story, where she's now playing where her dad coaches, where her dad played, we're in the same number, and I think when you played the game the other night in a rivalry game, you could see it meant, a lot more to her. And that was really evident in our performance, and we're hoping then that drip feeds into some of the younger players to build them that confidence that they can go and compete at this level.
Yeah, and obviously Larry very proud of Penny and what she's obviously brought to the program and all those things. When you look again, those are things. You look at the 3 matches you've had, all that is great, 3-0 to start the year. But there's always things like, saw your group this morning, at it early at Saluki Stadium, getting some conditioning in. There are always those nitty-gritty things that you're focusing on that could be big separating factors down the line. What are some of those things that you're continuing to communicate with your team right now? Hey, we're proud of you and what you've done to this point, and it's awesome, but we still need to build off of it because we know our most important matches are still to come here this year.
Yeah, so we have a key performance indicator board in our locker room, and we just put one game up at a time. And I know it's a kind of cheesy phrase to say, but the next game is the most important one, so that's the one we're focusing on. And there's 10 factors in those key performance indicators. I think at the weekend there we achieved 2 out of 10, which we achieved the win, but we want to make sure that we're turning some of those fine margins, whether it's duels, whether it's corners, into a plus factor in there, because we know the more pluses we get there, the better opportunity we have of winning the game. So again, it's keep educating the players that is our standards. I felt last week we came in and trained on Sunday night, and I thought that was our best training session. And then we obviously took Monday off for the first day of class, and Tuesday was a hard session because it was the first time the kids had then balanced school life with soccer life, and that was a challenge for us. So I had to remind them of, this is why we're here, right? How do we then bring our energy to go and compete it that way? So that will be the task all season now. We get into where we're playing really Thursday, Sundays a lot of the stretch, and hopefully we can keep everybody fit and healthy and make sure everybody's able to contribute on the field.
I've talked about it with Coach Hill, not necessarily on the record, but you look, they start off the year, of course, this weekend at home, then they're on the road for a whole month. You start off your season at home. You go, I think, 5 straight matches on the road. As a coach, is that a part of the schedule that you almost embrace a little bit, because it really allows your team to be around one another? And if they truly like being around each other, man, you're going to build a lot better team chemistry when you're on the road and maybe environments that, say, whatever, more controlled on a bus, whatever, where you're going, versus just being at home and kind of going throughout your day.
Yeah, so there's positives and negatives with everything, right? So one of the positives is we get to spend more time together, right? So we can, whereas if we're at home, we're going to class up until probably 3:30. I think our last class is where we have a 6 o'clock game. So you've got to battle that fact. Being on the road, we're able to maybe do a few more meetings, catch up with a few more players, make sure that, the group as a whole is taken care of, and checking in with a lot of our new players. So that will be our task on the bus this weekend. So, but we do have some good times, especially when you win. There'll be a little bit of karaoke goes on, and I'm sure
you lead it, right?
Well, no. But I think the bus driver was happy that it wasn't just all Taylor Swift songs this time. But to be honest, I didn't know many of the songs. So, but yeah, it does bring challenges, right? But
yeah.
What we have to do is make sure that we are educating and obviously being positive with that mindset as well. And we're in a privileged position, right? So we get to represent a fantastic organisation, and we get to go and compete in NCAA Division 1. So let's go get at it.
I don't want to misspeak for you, but it's a lot like, look, I think you can go watch a basketball game, and man, a really good point guard with their communication, et cetera, really stands out. You go to a football game, obviously same thing, quarterback, great communication. And soccer, early for me, maybe didn't recognize it, but man, you really see how important that communication aspect is when it comes to goalkeeping. Reagan, the year she's had to this point, what she embodies, Coach Orr, and what you want in a goalkeeper and what you're excited about for the rest of her year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So she comes from a great pedigree and a great background. She played at a very high club level and gone to South Florida and trained at an extremely high level there, and wanted to come and prove that she could be a number 1 and play at this level. So we gave her that opportunity, and I think in the spring she really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, in the spring we didn't have competition for her, so now we have another excellent goalkeeper with Lily Murray come in, and that's providing competition and really balances out both of them to give us options for both games. And we're, and I think really that's going to develop the two of them to push them on to be the best they can be. But for me, defending, it starts at the top of the field, and I think the goal we lost at the weekend, we could have defended it from the top downwards better, and that's what we've got to make sure we do, so that we want Reagan and Lily to get lots of shutouts, but we also want them to be as quiet as possible, because that means we're doing a good job.
And Dory getting Defender of the Week. I mean, obviously your second honor of the year already in terms of a goalkeeper or Defender of the Week. Why she was deserving of that honor, I know her play speaks for itself, but for you to get to coach her, why she's such a huge asset to your program.
Yeah, well, she's really stepped up and been clinical in front of goal. She had a goal chopped off again on Thursday night, which I thought was a little bit harsh. But Dory's been a real good sponge from the first time when she came to an ID camp. I noticed there was a little bit of grit about her that I really enjoyed in a player. And she came in as a freshman and really took how we wanted to play in that role upon herself. And, she made herself, a first team player right away as a freshman. and her and Juliana Basteri are playing at the back now, and they both take it upon themselves to kind of problem solve and lead, and it's almost like, I tell them, it's like risk management back there, right? You know the structure, but you're going to face different problems. You need to make sure you try to put the fire out, whatever tool you feel best possible. And I think, between Dory, Veronica, G, those 3 experienced players back there, I think they've definitely helped, Reagan and Lily in the goals.
Hey, 3-1 wins are exciting matches. Let's try not to make it 3 goals in the last 15 minutes again. Can we do that?
Yeah, I know. Well, it took me about 45 minutes as a coach to work out a decent game plan. So if I could step up my game, I had to apologise to the team at full time for that. But I think it's, as I said, we're all learning, right? So
yeah.
There's, in these early games, there's a little bit of cat and mouse. Sometimes you don't really know how teams are going to come out. I think later on in the year, statistically, you get a better idea of who are the key players and what the trends of a team. But at this stage, maybe people are still feeling out what's going to be their best 11, and that's what you've got to go and adapt. But yeah, I was really happy with the resilience, and I think we just kind of played a little bit with anxiety, and once we showed that composure, I think that just lifted the whole group. When that first one went in with Penny, I think that lifted that, and you could see like the next 2 opportunities, bang, bang, and it was 3-1, and that team really, at that point, were just deflated because they'd put a lot into the game, and, it caused us a lot of problems.
Coach Orr, congratulations on the start. Look forward to seeing what happens on Thursday at Alabama A&M, and then again on the road on Sunday against Southern Indiana. Thanks so much for taking time to stop on by, and look forward to continuing to promote a great season for you and the team.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me, and hope to see you again soon.
Yes, that was head coach Graeme Orr of Saluki Soccer. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we will wrap things up here on Inside Saluki Athletics with none other than tight ends coach Nate Griffin for Saluki Football. This is Inside Saluki Athletics.
Best one is teleportation, though. Snap my fingers, I'm in Brazil.
I'll say changing the weather, because the weather always changes in a way.
What is the most overrated superpower and why? Super strength.
X-ray vision. I mean, you don't really need it.
I'm saying the Incredibles. They little family overrated. Why? They can do whatever they want to somebody.
Most overrated superpower is flying or super strength.
Definitely flying.
Flying is the most overrated superpower.
Laser eyes is the most overrated.
That's a trick question. There is no most overrated superpower.
Yes, there is. It's super speed when you could just teleport. You know what I'm saying?
Invisibility.
That's not overrated.
It is. Nobody can see you. That is overrated, right?
Time travel.
Flying.
Laser man.
Being really smart.
Teleportation.
Invisibility.
Maybe super speed. You can run away, but it's still gonna look for you.
Time traveling. Because you already know what's happening, what you need it for.
I was thinking like a Green Lantern, whatever he does.
I'd say being invisible.
I'd probably say Ant-Man powers. All you do is just shrink and grow.
Probably, I'd say invisibility. Because, like, what if your clothes aren't invisible? You know what I'm saying? No, that's not overrated. The most overrated superpower is being able to talk to animals. Like, who cares what animals have to say?
Really?
Reading minds. I don't want to read half these dudes' minds. Invisibility. Because show your true self, show your true colors.
Nate Griffin, tight ends coach, and here's our tight ends.
Aidan Moriarty, redshirt freshman, Plainfield, Illinois. Go Dogs.
Patrick Carr, I'm a freshman from Louisville, Kentucky. Let's go Dogs.
Carson Conkle, redshirt freshman, Pinckneyville, Illinois. Let's go Dogs.
Aidan Quinn, senior, Nashville, Tennessee. Let's go Dogs.
Miles Marshall, junior, Kansas City. Let's go Dogs.
Logan Minton, sophomore, Wildwood, Missouri. Go Dogs.
Ryan Schwendeman, redshirt junior, O'Fallon, Missouri. Let's go Dogs. Row, 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 row.
Welcome back, everybody, to Inside Saluki Athletics here in the Steve Wells studio on the campus of Southern Illinois University. Man, when we close out a show, we close out a show. We got Coach Nate Griffin, join us here on the program as Saluki Football returns this weekend at Saluki Stadium against Thomas More. It's go time, brother. It's time. It's time to actually play. No longer practice. Let's get out there and play a game.
It's about time, right? We've been waiting. It seems like we've been in fall camp for months now.
It has been a long time. And look, I mean, from the winter conditioning to spring football to obviously ultimately here in the fall. Just for you, Coach Griff, with the guys. I mean, yes, you work with the tight ends group, but you get to see everybody on this team. What is the anticipation level like when you get to this week of also making sure that, hey, all of your emotions hit at the right time, which is 6 o'clock on Saturday?
No, I think it's always about how are you going to manage the emotions of the game. You know, after a while you get sick of just going against each other. So now it's a new phase. We truly are now a unified front, offense, defense, special teams, going against the opponent, pulling together. So I think it's anytime you go out there for the first time, it's just we talk about how are you going to handle it. You know, we know every opponent's different and all that, but you don't know what's going to happen game one with those guys. New coaches, new rosters, new tweaks. So it's like you kind of don't know until you get going to the game, but you do know yourselves. How are you going to handle it? That's the biggest thing, getting in the right mindset. All the practice we've had, you know, just as far as the prep for what is game day going to be like, which Coach Hill put us through several times, because it's important to find your routine in everything you do, so it's not the first time you're doing it is on game day. We've already gone through it. We know where we're going, what's your mindset, what's your routine before the game, all that type of stuff. But excitement, nerves, all the above, you know, that's football, you know. Touchdown Tommy, my son, you know, I talk to him about it all the time. Football is a unique sport where you're going to feel those nerves regardless of how prepared you are or how confident. It's just part of the game, you know.
You talk about the nerve side, even though I'm sure it's different from when you played, but now as a coach, when do the nerves really kick in for you on a game day? If it is the same time or same routine kind of for you?
You know, I think you kind of, throughout the whole week, you feel the nerves pop up just about, okay, have we covered everything? Have we covered everything enough? Have we drilled everything we need to? Because there's so many things, so many possibilities that you only have so much time with them. Trying to do the best to hit the majority of what your expectation or what you plan on seeing before, so they are prepared. But there's always the nerves of, man, did I do everything for them that I can? Or did I point out everything? Did we watch all the film? Did we cover all the corrections so they understand? I think that's the biggest thing, making sure they are clear with what they have to do. You know, no worries. But the nerves probably go away after the game's over. You're always, that's just part of it, you know, but you got to trust your guys at the same time. You know, it's not going to be perfect, but, you know, we talked about it, you know, this fall camp is, as long as they're out there fighting every single play, you got a chance. You know, try to coach my guys up on, you can't be perfect, but I want you to be decisive. Make a decision and be aggressive. Make your decision correct by being aggressive, going all out. We'll be able to come to the sideline, correct anything we want, but as long as they're playing hard and physical, we'll be okay.
Well, when you have guys like Aidan Quinn, who of course had on the show and spotlighted him, Ryan Schwindeman, I mean, those two embody probably everything that you just described and that you need on a daily basis.
No doubt, and I think with those two having been with them long enough now, I know what I'm going to get from them. So it's just a matter of, you know, what great play they're going to make. I know they're going to be consistent. I know they're going to play hard. I know they know what to do, you know, little tweaks here and there, but that alleviates some of the nerves knowing, hey, I got these guys, but still, I mean, I can't wait to watch them get out there and go.
What about this offense as a unit? And again, I know a team game here, obviously offense, defense, but specifically offense. Where do you go, man, I'm ready to see this group? Like, what is the anticipation like for you guys as an offensive unit?
You know, I think it's obviously the excitement to see DJ, you know, for a full season, get out there. We know what he can do, you know, and to see him get to do that again. Probably a little biased because I coached it before, but the running backs, you know, getting to see some real guys that, you know, have a good year of staying healthy in that room as well. But, you know, a great addition with Chandler. You got Shady, Lamb. I mean, you got a room full of guys who throughout fall camp were ripping off some runs. And, I mean, football's football. You got to run the ball to win, you know, and so that's an exciting part. And, you know, the wide receivers, again, it's like last year going into it. You look at every room, in my opinion, it's loaded. You know, Jathan Jones is kind of similar to a Miles Marshall for me, who stuck around the program, kept hammering away. never gave up, never, folded and just kept pushing it. And he's had a great camp. I mean, he's a physical kid who can catch the ball, make plays, and we have a bunch of great additions, VD and all that. So, again, the bias is towards running the ball because that's what, I mean,
Yeah.
pick a room. I'm excited to see them all go.
How intertwined, and maybe it's an obvious thing, but I even think for fans at times it may not be as obvious. Like, how intertwined are the tight ends to almost every aspect of what you guys do as an offense?
Everything. I mean, that's what you talk about when you're recruiting. We do it all. You got to be locked into, the run game, all the calls. You got to be tied into the pass protections. You're running routes like a wide receiver. So you're like a skill, but you're also in the trenches blocking, doing it all. So it's all encompassing. They have to do everything.
What do you believe is when you have so much on your plate, I guess maybe it's not really a belief in terms of me phrasing the question, is what do you do as the leader of that room to make sure, hey, we understand there's all these different aspects you're responsible for, but how you try to streamline it the best way possible to make sure your guys are ready for whatever is called upon them, what they need to do?
I think the biggest thing is, like I said earlier, is giving them the confidence to trust themselves to make a decision. As a coach, we're always going to be able to pick it apart, make the right decision. Well, of course, when it's all said and done, but giving them the chance to be decisive and be aggressive with it, and we'll get it corrected on the edge and just, keep it as simple as possible. But luckily, all my guys are super smart, smarter than me, so usually they're coaching me up, But again, it's just giving them the confidence to go play. Don't think we'll get it corrected on the side. If you make a mistake, that happens. Let's just try to limit those,
One of the groups that you guys have talked about so much in terms of importance, and we talk about the tight ends being so intertwined in everything offensively, but man, it's been so great to see the stories really up front on Coach Clark's offensive line really come back. You work with them each and every day too.
Absolutely.
And so many drills, like from Derek Carden being named a captain, just a tremendous story. I mean, through it all, it's not fair to compare teams through the years just because it can always be a difficult thing as a coach. Yep. But when you see this group, what can be maybe a strength of this group this year that maybe is different than offensive lines that you've been around in the past?
I think you've had a lot of them together for a long time now. It's a deep room, a big room, a physical room. Similar to when I talked about the tight ends, they look the part. It's a good-looking group, and you're not good unless you're good up front. And we have a lot of confident guys. Coach Clark keeps them in line, coaches them up. They know what to do, how to do it, and just going out to execute. But I think they work well as a group. I mean, they're a unified front. You see them together all the time. And I think that's a lot of the things that people don't see is they truly hang out together. They're in the hall. You see them there. It's a brotherhood, and Coach Clark's done a great job building that with them.
Talk about brotherhood, how this program really is a family. Yep. And look, those can just be words that can be said a lot. But when you go to see Tommy practice and you see so many players, coaches come, look, I do hear you hand out money for them coming from time to time when they're at practice, but I'll leave that to the side.
I don't have that much.
But all jokes aside, I know that means the world to you.
It does.
Like what that says of when you see so much buy-in from not just your players and not just guys you coach, but to the coaching staff and other guys on the team that they want to come out and support Tommy.
I mean, it's an extended family. We are all not from this area, a majority of us, right? Like all my family's back in Colorado, so anytime my brother's kids have a game, my family's all there, right? So my kids don't get to experience it in that sense, but they do because we have the extended football family, and you should see the look on Tommy's face when he saw everybody. It was like cloud nine, it is special, and we're all in this together. We all know what each other's feeling, regardless of if we say it to each other or not. We know what we want to accomplish, what we're trying to do, provide a good life for our families through coaching football. We all get it.
What's been the biggest joy as a dad watching Tommy play?
Man, honestly, just watching him truly enjoy it. Like, football was not pushed on him. It was like something he wanted to do. Obviously, he's exposed to it, but just seeing him play, because football is a physical sport, seeing him make his first tackle and overcome and rip those runs off, and just like him realizing like, oh man, I'm not too bad, and that's exciting for a father, and just out there with his buddy scoring and cheering, and you know, his coach conditions him pretty good, you know, and seeing him go through that, but that's all part of it, you know, shared controversy or shared, you know, hard times with each other builds that bond, you know, and it's just seeing him go through, and you have little flashbacks when you're young, and, you know, you don't understand what football's like until you do it, so it's like just him enjoying it, man.
Well, and on this note, Coach Griff, before we let you go, what's been neat about being around this program for sure, but this team specifically, is when you go out, even this morning for Tuesday practice, you don't, and look, I get it, it's early, it's in the season, and seasons get long, we all know that, but even at this point, when you've been through camp and you're starting the year off, you can start to see maybe, it's just Tuesday. Yeah. Like, you know, I can maybe push this off, like, I'll turn on Wednesday. You don't see that with this group, and I'm just curious of your stance on it, of when you have so many guys who have had football taken away from them, and not just within last year, there's been guys who have had football taken away from them multiple times. Do you feel that plays a factor in really how guys lead a group and this team of, man, they really, when they take advantage of a Tuesday practice, they know how quickly it can be when all of a sudden you no longer have a Tuesday practice and you don't get the opportunity to play on Saturday?
No doubt. First off, it's hard not to be excited when the weather's beautiful this morning. Wake up, it's nice and cool, make myself some Black Rifle coffee, you know, get it going. But no, I think, you know, you never want to wish any days away. And I think what you hit on is a lot of guys, such in my room, Ryan, AJ, getting hurt and realizing this thing could be over. And then you're looking at the AJ, this is his last year. So you're trying to, we talk about, it's like, hey, and take them one day at a time, right? Don't think about the season. Don't think about tomorrow, because after that you get overwhelmed and it's hard to stay locked in. It's one day at a time. Enjoy it. But I do think that plays a part in how the season went last year. And there's a hunger to our guys, especially coming off a pretty successful season the previous year. You know, knowing we probably should have gone further, but that's life, that's football. But I just think overall it's a lot of guys who, man, when you truly know this might be your last shot, you got to squeeze everything you can out of it, every opportunity, take it all in, you know, and enjoy it, because nothing lasts forever, regardless of how good it is.
No, it does not. But the good news is it is back.
That's
and
right.
Saturday at 6 o'clock it will start against Thomas More. Coach, it's always good to see you, brother. Thanks so much for coming by. And, man, I'm stoked for you guys and the team this year. Let's get this thing rolling.
Stoked for us. We're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Nation. We're going to get it.
Absolutely. Big thank you to Coach Nate Griffin for joining us here on the show. An outstanding show today from Coach Nick Hill, Aidan Quinn, Graeme Orr, and Nate Griffin join us. Again, big thank you to Ben McLaughlin, who joined us earlier to help us out behind the scenes, and Romeo Montez, who joins us behind the scenes to make sure that we can get this show on to all of you for Saluki Nation. We will be back again next Tuesday. But before then, got some important events for you all to attend, including the football game on Saturday. But until next week, when we join you right back here inside the Steve Wells studio, for all of our guests, I am Luke Martin saying so long, Saluki Nation. Go Dogs.